Hi foodies, welcome back to my channel. Let's make some Christmas cake again. Alright, I have another video of another type of Christmas cake. This time we're doing things a little bit different. We're stewing some fruits. So I just have my pot here and I'm using a combination of dried fruit. So prunes, there's raisins, and you'll see that little stem there. Yeah, there's some little stems. Sometimes you'll see them and you're able to pick out a few, but you're going to be pureeing this anyhow. So not a big deal for me. All right. So we're going to be cooking these in some water just to soften them up. Okay. Now this is definitely optional. You could just use cinnamon powder, but sometimes I like to use a cinnamon stick and then just take it out after a while. And I'm using my freshly grated nutmeg, of course. Really, really beautiful flavor. I do prefer to soak my fruits. However, stewing the fruits, it's a really great option for when you're doing the pudding textured cake because you want it to be more dense. And stewing is also a great option for when you don't have any fruit soaked but you want to make a fruit cake now because it really softens them up and makes things easy for you. So you just want to put enough water to cover this. You don't need to fill the pot with water. And then we're just going to simmer it, and you'll notice everything will rehydrate and swell up, and then they will get soft. You want to boil it or simmer it rather until the water is basically evaporated and everything is really soft. So make sure you check on the pot because you don't want these to dry out, right? So give it a stir and you'll check it out. You'll see that it's getting really soft, but the liquid still needs to reduce some more, okay? You don't want the fruits to be filled with water. Sometimes when you're eating the fruit cake, you might taste some tiny little bits of stuff. Sometimes it's just the stems, because even if they are pureed, sometimes you can still taste them. And sometimes it's the seeds or the stones of the fruit, right? Like this right here. Sometimes you miss them and they get ground up in the puree. So you have that little taste and you're wondering, what is it? It's just the stems and the stone of the fruit. So if I see any, I just take them out, okay? Once the liquid reduces significantly, then you'll just allow this to cool down. And then once it's cool, we're going to be adding some rum and some red label wine. If you can't find these, then just get some port wine or some other red wine that you like. But we prefer to use this red label wine and the Ray and Nephew white rum. Okay, so once the stewed fruits cool down, you can stir this in. You can do equal parts wine and rum or do less rum, okay, depending on your what you desire as far as taste, because the rum is very strong. So sometimes I'll do more wine than rum, but it's all about your preference. Okay, so just stir these around and then you can just store this in your fridge until you are ready to use it. See, it's really rich, really rich in flavor, all of this, and it's super soft, so it's going to be easy to puree. And this is what the texture looks like. I just use the pulse button and then the high-speed blender. That's it. All right, now let's get into the cake. All right, So we're going to be creaming the butter and sugar, and then of course we're going to go in with the other ingredients. You want to make sure that your ingredients are at room temperature, guys. Your cake comes together better when everything is at the same temperature. So once the butter and the sugar are creamed together and they look nice and creamy and fluffy, then we will combine our dry ingredients together. If you have mixed spice at home, you could use it in the cake because it's basically a combination of most of those spices that I've added, right? So you could use some if you have it. Now let's check out our pureed stewed fruit. So the texture of this, guys, is very different from the soaked one. It is extremely smooth and even richer. So they both are awesome, but the texture is much smoother because the fruits are softened, right? This is why if I'm making a Christmas cake that I want to have that more of a pudding texture, I prefer to use the stewed fruits. You could use the soaked fruits too, but I find that using the stewed fruits, you get that texture easier. Now let's go in with eggs one at a time. These eggs were sitting at room temperature, guys. So one at a time, you'll add all of your eggs. So one egg and then beat it with the hand mixer, and then go in with the other and continue. Once all the eggs are added, we are going to be adding the dry mixture, but we are adding just a third of it. So pour in a third and then mix it. And at this point, you could use a wooden spoon or a spatula if you prefer. Okay, so you add that, and then you're going to add half of your fruit puree. So half of it. Okay, and then mix that in, and then you add another third of the dry flour mixture, and then the rest of the fruits, and then finish up again with the dry mixture. So you're just alternating. Now, once the cake batter is done, you just need to pour it into your prepared cake tin. So what I did was I greased the cake tin with butter, and then I cut out a parchment paper circle and placed it inside. just like my other fruitcake recipe, I'm going to be baking this on the middle shelf over a baking tray that has been filled with warm water, because the steam is just gonna help to moisten the cake while it bakes. And then you get your beautiful cakes out of the oven, and then I like to just brush on some of that liquid from some soaked or stewed fruit, right? Or you could just brush on a mixture of rum and red label wine, and definitely do this daily to keep the cake moist if you're trying to keep it for, several days before Christmas. You can brush it on, or you could fill a clean spray bottle and spritz it every day. Or you could pour on the rum and the wine. It depends on if you really want it soaked. You could prick some holes in there with the wooden skewer and then just pour some rum and wine and let it just sop up and soak up all of that. But once it sits, then you can cut into it, and I'll show you the texture, guys. It's not as cakey as my other fruit cake. It's more of a puddingy texture. See, it's smooth, it's dense, but it's not hard. It's really moist. And as far as the color, I'm satisfied with that, but you can always use more browning if you want it to be darker. And I'm just gonna show you the other one as well. I did two. You could use two 8-inch cake tins or two 9-inch cake tins. Again, this is different from my other fruitcake recipe. This one is more of a puddingy, dense texture. In the comment section, I want you guys to tell me if you prefer that cakey texture or you prefer the pudding texture. For me, I'm happy as long as the flavor is good. If it's a little pudding and a little cakey, then I guess I'll be happy. But this is really delicious, guys. I know you're gonna love this. And remember to wrap this or put it in a sealable container so it remains moist. All right. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. I really hope you like the recipe. It's absolutely tasty. And remember to check out my other video for fruit cake. That texture of that cake is a little bit different, but I know you like it too. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.